General Officer Commanding in Chief, may I simply write on the protocols already established. Firstly, I would like to thank the Chief of Army Staff, General Manoj Pandey, and the General Officer Commanding in Chief, Lieutenant General Ajay Kumar Singh, for inviting me to attend the India-Africa Army Chiefs Conclave 2023. It is an honor and privilege for me to deliver a talk on the topic India Defense Industry Potential to Contribute towards Regional Security. The importance of the conference cannot be overemphasized as it deepens our existing military relations that have helped to play a pivotal role in facilitating defense industry cooperation. The Defense Force of Zambia, like several other African defense forces, is in the process of establishing the defense industry so as to meet the changing dynamic of technology in warfare. It is important to partner with already established defense industry of India in areas of need. Some of the key focus areas for both sides are defense engagements, including capacity building, training, cybersecurity, maritime security, and counter-terrorism. The aim of this presentation is to highlight the potential of Indian defense industry in contributing towards regional security. And to achieve this aim, I'll focus as shown on the slide. Defense equipment requirements of African nations. Defense equipment requirements of African nations are many. It is worth noting that Africa's regional security cannot be attained without modern defense equipment. Therefore, India's defense industry can help meet African aspirations by assisting African armies in the acquisition of the following equipment: military vehicles, that is troop carriers, armored fighting vehicles, including main battle tanks, various array of munitions, cyber security equipment, intelligence surveillance, target acquisition and reconnaissance equipment, aerospace equipment, maritime equipment, mechanized agriculture equipment, research and development equipment, forged and machined components, plant equipment. Let us quickly look at the potential for Great Africa-India Defense Industry Cooperation. Africa-India Defense Industrial Cooperation offers many opportunities rather than challenges. And some of the opportunities and challenges are as follows. Opportunities. In military vehicles, multinational corporations such as Tata should facilitate great investment and technology transfer from India to African nations, including in the manufacturing of munitions. India must open up its defense industry to African participation through public-private partnership to enhance cooperation. Joint working groups should be formed to explore projects of mutual interest that include ISTA. This should take a bottom-up approach, as already alluded to by my senior officer from Nigeria. There should be cooperative research and development projects that intend to improve conventional defense capabilities of India and African nations. African nations are ready to harness the industrial and technological capabilities for defense-related aspects from India. African nations are ready to fully utilize the offset policy of the defense procurement procedure of India. Africa has basic infrastructure which can facilitate technological transfer and foreign direct investments into the African defense industry base from India. Opportunities also exist in technological partnerships with the African nations by strengthening capabilities in combating terrorism and extremism, particularly in support of United Nations peacekeeping missions. Challenges: difficult interoperability in joint operations. Due to weather and terrain differences, equipment needs may differ. Balance of power, hegemonic tendencies. The process of coming up with the use and procurement of armaments between government to government level is too bureaucratic, and we also have varying national interests. In conclusion, I want to state that the India-Africa Army Chiefs Conclave has offered a great opportunity to African defense forces aimed at enhancing Africa-India defense industry cooperation. To this effect, various opportunities and entry points exist for greater cooperation where regional security is concerned. We have mutual interests dating far back as history can relate. However, the challenge primarily relies in identifying areas of tangible mutual benefit and incorporating those into a holistic cooperation that is aligned to the regional and the international aspirations of both parties. A higher-ended India-Africa partnership should ultimately tie into the advancement of multilateral initiatives premised on the India defense industry. May I conclude that the Africa-India cooperation should be proactive than reactive in order to attain a comprehensive partnership. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, General Ali, for summarizing the requirements of the defense equipment that the African nations are looking to and making valuable suggestions for us to take this idea forward. Thank you. May I now call on General Manjeera to deliver his talk on behalf of the CDF Uganda.
The Honorable Minister of Defense, the Chief of the Army Staff of the Indian Army, Chiefs of Armies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by thanking the Government of India for inviting us to participate in this very, very important India-Africa Army Chiefs Conclave in this beautiful city of Pune. Today's topic is Indian defense industry potential to contribute towards regional security. Permit me to begin my presentation with a short quotation by His Excellency Modi, the Prime Minister of India, in his speech during his visit to Uganda in the year 2018, in which he said, African priorities are Indian priorities. By way of introduction, let me begin by stating that Africa and India have a shared history and have had a very long relationship. The Indian merchants are said to have been plying their trade through the Indian Ocean since the days of ancient Babylon, and to have even established trading posts along the coast of East Africa. Several African groups, particularly Muslims from East Africa, came to India as traders, which therefore means that trade between the two goes back centuries. As a matter of fact, Africa is a maritime neighbor of India, with the Indian Ocean bordering the east coast of Africa. While Africa is a continent and India is a subcontinent, both share colonial history, having been subjected to European rule through colonialism. The difference being that Africa was colonized by different European powers. This long-term relationship, characterized by trade and not colonial and hegemonic relations, as happened with Western powers, puts India in a special category as a valued pattern in Africa in all aspects, including defense and security. The evolving nature of African security challenges is a combination of traditional and non-traditional threats. These threats are global and cannot be said to be African. New and complex security challenges, both within and among nation states, such as threats of cross-border terrorism and violent extremism, transnational organized crime, cybersecurity, illegal migration, drug trafficking, climate change, and pandemics, to mention but a few, have emerged over the past few decades. Africa and India have both been victims of violent extremism from groups like Boko Haram, Al-Shabaab, and Al-Qaeda. We still have painful memories of the November 26, 2008 attack on the Mumbai Taj Mahal Palace. The nature of these challenges makes it difficult, if not impossible, for any state to act alone in addressing them, these challenges. Distinguished members of the Conclave, peace and security are intrinsically linked to socioeconomic development and growth. Without a peaceful, stable, and secure environment, development remains a dream. This calls for close cooperation in order to deal with the challenges to global peace and security. We therefore salute India for her role in creating a secure environment that has contributed to the development of Africa right from as far back as 1960, when India got directly involved in Africa by sending its troops under the United Nations peacekeeping mission to the Republic of Congo. Since then, India has been among the top 3 contributors to the UN peacekeeping mission and has regularly been part of many such missions on the African continent. India continues to provide support to Africa to deal with the challenges of conflict, terrorism, and violent extremism, including providing huge financial support to the African mission in Somalia, providing training to African defense, military, and naval personnel in top Indian military academies, contributing troops and police units to UN peacekeeping operations on the African continent, and it is a big supporter of the African Union peace and security architecture. India has had bilateral security engagements with several African countries, including my own country, Uganda, and provided support in terms of logistics and military training, thus providing skills and knowledge transfer to hundreds of military officers, in addition to offering training opportunities to our officers. Coming to the topic of defense industries, the role and significance of defense industries worldwide need not be overemphasized. Defense industries provide self-reliance to a country, and though not seeking complete defense industrial sovereignty, they offer a sustainable in-country capability. Indeed, from a national security perspective, and to ensure appropriate sovereignty, countries need such capacity for self-reliance, especially in terms of equipment, in order to minimize reliance on foreign countries for resupply, especially during wartime, and even avoid blackmail by superior powers who impose sanctions and embargoes, etc. From a geopolitical point of view, my country, Uganda, being landlocked in a volatile region, and which relies on the stability of its neighbors for her imports, including military ones, this is a fact that cannot be ignored. Defense industries, therefore, provide governments with military capabilities on land, sea, air, and space, in support of current and future defense and military requirements, in addition to other benefits like job creation by providing employment to the many unemployed youth who also in one way or another pose a security threat. Defense industries, therefore, are important assets for strategic security and must be developed because of their strategic nature. The Indian defense industry is no doubt one of the largest defense industrial complexes in the world and is now moving towards becoming a major exporter of defense products. Africa will no doubt continue to play a crucial role in providing the market. Indeed, Indian manufactured defense equipment for the Army, Air Force, and Navy are clearly visible on the African continent. Indian military vehicles such as Tata and Ashok Leyland are part of the military fleet in many African countries. With this growing capacity, the Indian defense industry has the potential and expertise to make significant contributions towards the African security paradigm, particularly in the fields of technology transfer by, among others, assisting in setting up manufacturing plants in Africa. Most countries in Africa today have the potential to set up plants for the manufacture of basic military equipment, and the Indian defense industry can facilitate this through transfer of technology. So, what should be the future of India-Africa Defense Industry Cooperation? In other words, the recommended way forward. So, compared with trade and investment, defense and security cooperation remains an area of the India-Africa strategic partnership that is not yet fully exploited and which should be given priority. We, however, strongly feel that Africa needs to be taught how to fish and not to be given fish, because this in itself perpetuates insecurity. We believe that the only way to have meaningful and sensible defense cooperation is by those with means helping those without to also build internal capacity. Otherwise, it cannot be said to be cooperation. If technology remains a monopoly on one side and the other is consigned to forever remaining a consumer of her products, then you cannot talk of cooperation. India and Africa should therefore get ready to face future conflicts and challenges by joining forces for co-developing and co-manufacturing emerging technologies in the security sector. Africa should not be condemned to be the consumer of finished products, but Indian defense industries should be encouraged to set up similar defense manufacturing facilities in Africa, preferably through joint ventures with the nascent African defense industries or any other form of partnership. This will also help India in a way to set up regional manufacturing hubs on the African continent, hence creating a bigger market for her products. Consideration also needs to be made to establish on the African continent, for example, facilities for the upgrade, for modernization, for maintenance, for repair and overhaul for various defense equipment, and even setting up manufacturing centers for defense equipment spare parts and other accessories. We should look at carrying out joint research and development and co-developing defense equipment aiming at jointly capturing the world defense products market. There is need for both sides to identify possible areas of cooperation and collaboration. Africa, therefore, has a huge role to play in India's future defense industry goals of becoming a major defense exporter. In conclusion, let me close with another quotation of His Excellency the Prime Minister, again in his speech during his visit to Uganda in 2018. And he said, quote unquote, "Our development partnership will be guided by your priorities. It will be on terms that will be comfortable for you, that will liberate your potential and not constrain your future." It is time to begin a new era in the India-Africa defense industry. I thank you for listening to me, for God and my country. I thank you.
Thank you, General Manjeera. Your most telling closing remark that Africa needs to be taught how to fish is very well taken. In fact, I'm sure the talk of both the industry reps must have been reassuring that we continue to be genuinely concerned for development of African nations towards their Atmanirbharta, their self-reliance. Thank you, General Manjeera. May I request the audience to please give a round of applause to the 4 speakers of this session. Thank you. I now hand over to the organizers.
Ladies and gentlemen, indeed, it was as enriching a session as it can be. And we are grateful to our panelists for giving us this first-hand insight into the India-Africa defense industry partnership. This is just the beginning of things to come. The future for the Indian defense industry is indeed bright.
Now, may I request the Honorable Defense Minister to present a token of remembrance to our esteemed panelists. At first, I request Lieutenant General Sudarshan Shrikant Hasabnis, retired. Mr. Arun Ramchandani. Lieutenant General James Mugira. Lieutenant General Dennis Sitali Alibuzwi. Shri S.P. Shukla. Ladies and gentlemen, this inaugural India-Africa Army Chiefs Conclave is a seminal event. Hence, it is only befitting that this occasion be encapsulated in a form of a book, which commemorates and reminds us of our association and our deep friendship forged stronger during this conclave. We now request Honorable Defense Minister Shri Rajnath Singh to kindly unveil the book on this special occasion. We now request General Manoj Pandey, Chief of the Army Staff, Indian Army, to kindly present the India-Africa Army Chiefs Conclave memento to our Honorable Defense Minister. We now request our Honorable Defense Minister, Shri Rajnath Singh, to kindly address this august gathering.
Voice is very loud. General Manoj Pandey, Chief of Army Staff, Army Chiefs from African countries, senior officers of Indian and African countries' armies, esteemed veterans, representatives of defense industry, friends from media, gentlemen, my warm greetings to our valued guests from Africa. I had the opportunity to witness the presentation by Zambian and Ugandan army chiefs. The presentations were very informative and relevant. I would request Chief of Army Staff General Manoj Pandey to take up the points made by our African friends. Let me assure you all that we deeply value our inputs for carrying India-Africa defense partnership to greater heights. Friends, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the first edition of the India-Africa Army Chiefs Conclave. Your presence here reflects the strong ties between India and Africa woven over shared historical experiences and nurtured by common goals and vision. Having diverse cultures, languages, and religions, we are united by the common goals of eradicating poverty, achieving sustainable development, promoting peace and harmony, and improving the quality of life of our peoples. Our partnership drives the South-South cooperation to build a truly multipolar world order, which is more responsive to the aspirations of developing countries. Friends, India and Africa share a rich history across millennia. Even from the perspective of the entire humanity, out of Africa, theory postulates that Africa is the cradle of the humanity, irrespective of the continents, races, and ethnicities. India is one of the most ancient civilizations of the world, with a youthful population and a fast-growing economy. The civilizational ties, including people-to-people contacts, have laid the foundation for free flow of ideas and practices since time immemorial. It gained significant momentum during our common struggle against imperialism. Friends, the solidarity, mutual trust, and confidence forged in the days of struggle against colonialism continue to drive India-Africa cooperation to this day. India has been one of the strongest advocates of the decolonization of Africa and has worked for the end of imperialist, racist, and apartheid regimes in Africa. As a nation, we have great respect and affection for our African brothers and sisters. There is a natural feeling of partnership between India and Africa in our common quest for achieving prosperity and a dignified life of our peoples. Friends, the people of India and Africa together represent a third of humanity, a demographic dividend which has to be used wisely. We have seized the opportunity to turn this huge human resource into an engine of growth and development. Many African nations have the fastest rate of growth of population in the world. As per some projections, by 2050, there would be one African out of every 4 persons in the world. Therefore, if humanity has to develop, Africa has to develop. Today, Africa is home to more than 1 billion vibrant people, with more than 2/3 of them under the age of 35. If this human capital is supported with the right opportunities, it will become the growth engine for not just Africa, but also for the entire world. Friends, apart from the capital scarcity issues confronting us, to the relative technological backwardness vis-a-vis the developed world is one of the most important causes holding the developing world to the negative equilibrium of low economic growth rates. However, new and emerging technologies give us an opportunity to leapfrog this technological gap. I would like to pointedly mention two such emerging technologies: digital technologies and clean and green technologies. We would like to share our growth experiences in these two domains so that our African partners can benefit from our expertise. One particular example is the financial inclusion of the entire citizenry through digital technology, through India's innovation of Unified Payment Interface, or UPI, in short. UPI has occasioned a financial revolution from a street vendor to a high-end showroom with an expensive product range. UPI caters to one and all. Moreover, UPI is steadily becoming globally attractive, aimed measures to enable seamless cross-border transactions. Singapore has recently come on board. Friends, our exchanges of ideas and practices are not going to be one-way affairs. We would also like to learn from the experiences of our African friends. I remember distinctly the good work done in Kenya towards financial inclusion through mobile banking. Friends, I am told that the Kenya has been leading the way with a mobile phone-based financial services platform set in motion by M-Pesa, a money transfer system that gradually advanced into real-time retail payments and further into a virtual savings and credit supply platform. I am sure there would be many more such initiatives in India and Africa where we can learn from each other. Friends, when we talk about a country's development and growth, the importance of security is often not given the importance it deserves and is sometimes even considered antithetical to the pursuit of development. It is logical, incoherent, and historically inaccurate to consider security and development as antitheses of one another. I believe that the full potential of society's development can be realized only when its security is ensured. Friends, once we accept the status of security as the bedrock of development, the role of a strong and effective state system becomes crystal clear. The modern state system in India and African countries came into being only after they achieved independence. Though many of us have come a long way since our independence, there are many African countries where the consolidation and capacity building of their state systems is still a work in progress. Friends, there is no significant example in human history where a weak state system has preserved or fostered individual and collective rights. If we observe the trajectory of progress of the decolonized states in the world, only the strong, secure, and capable states have been effective in protecting the human rights and improving the quality of life of their citizens. Friends, against all historical experience, there is still a prevalent line of thinking which sees an inevitable dichotomy between a strong state system and individual human rights. We do not believe in such a false dichotomy. We believe that the preservation of individual human rights, such as the right to life and personal liberty, right to employment, right to livelihood, etc., are very much dependent on a strong and effective state apparatus which can ensure the rule of law as well as promote the economic growth and the social development. In particular, economic growth and development can only happen in a safe and secure environment. Hence, we need to build robust state structures which are able to comprehend and cater to the needs and aspirations of their peoples. One of the most important pillars of a strong and secure state system is a competent and responsible defense mechanisms. Friends, needless to say, that in this defense mechanism, the armed forces and especially the army plays a key role. So, in order to proceed on the path of development, African states have to become stronger and more capable in general, and particularly so in the defense domain. That is, the African states need capable and responsible armed forces. Friends, in pursuance of this objective, India is steadfast in its commitment to provide support in all defense-related matters to our African partner countries, including the capability enhancement of their armed forces. India has been at the forefront of providing training to the armed forces of the African nations and equipping their military personnel with the necessary skills and the competencies to face the security challenges of the 21st century. Our training programs cover a wide range of areas, including counterinsurgency, maritime security, and specialized training in new domains such as cyber warfare and drone operations. Friends, the training goes beyond conventional subjects and also encompasses training civilians in areas such as disaster management, humanitarian aid, and medical assistance. A large number of African countries, armed forces personnel continue to visit India for training in different areas. Moving beyond training programs and support, joint exercise between India and African nations provide an excellent opportunity for our armed forces to learn from each other and promote interoperability. Friends, the second edition of Appendix is reflective of our continued focus on African nations to develop capacities in line with the shared vision and enhance mutual capabilities. I firmly believe that maritime neighbors linked by the mighty Indian Ocean, our cooperation in maritime security and hydrography and countering terrorism and extremism will be essential for the regional peace and prosperity. Friends, capacity building in terms of defense equipment and platforms is another critical aspect of our defense cooperation with our African partners. Friends, as India continues to enhance its defense manufacturing capabilities, I invite African countries to explore Indian defense equipment and technologies. I would like to bring to your notice that India has emerged as a leading defense exporter in recent years. A defense manufacturing ecosystem has been created in India which has the advantage of abundant technical manpower. Our Indian defense industry can work with you to fulfill your defense requirements. Friends, with the aim to empower our African friends to indigenously meet their defense requirements, we are also committed to sharing our expertise and knowledge in defense manufacturing, research, and development also. Friends, our partnership is based on principles of friendship, respect, and mutual benefit. Honorable Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra Modi, during his address to the Ugandan Parliament in July 2018, stated that Africa is a top priority for India. As highlighted by Prime Minister Modi, our defense cooperation will also be guided by African priorities. Friends, let me conclude by assuring you all that we will continue to work with African nations to promote regional security, foster stability, and enhance the defense capabilities together. I hope that this conclave today and Appendix exercise pave way for a renewed effort towards a glorious future and a secure, just, and prosperous world for the generations to come. With these few words, thank you very much